I am Edmundo Tovar, Vice President of Educational Activities of IEEE Education Society. I would like to welcome to this webinar. You know that Education Society is organizing free webinar series to promote and give more visibility and diffusion in every format to the workshop selected and organized under the umbrella of our flagship conferences, Frontiers in Education Conference, EduCon Conference, TAIL Conference, EduNine. In this case, I am going to present first webinar is part or has been held in the last EduCon conference, last April, I think. This first webinar has the title MATLAB Grader for automatically graded computational assignments. And the topic is MATLAB Graded. MATLAB Grader provides an environment for creating and automatically grading MATLAB-based homework, assignments, quizzes, and exams. This is very useful for instructors and teaching assistants because it offers significant savings in time and effort compared to manual grading approaches, while providing the ability to scale up to any class size for residential, hybrid, or online courses. The presenter, there will be Jeff Aldersson. Jeff is currently the product manager for MATLAB's auto-grading solution. So that's all. The only reminder is that you can ask questions, as said Hamed. You can ask questions using the chat during the presentation, and after Jeff will be able to answer, reading or to make a review of the answers that has been written in the chat. Thank you very much, and you can begin.
Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Aldersson. I'm the Online Learning Product Marketing Lead here at MathWorks. I want to thank the IEEE Education Society for the chance to speak to you today about our product for grading computational assignments, specifically MATLAB code. We call that MATLAB Grader. And just going to walk you through what we're going to be talking about today. First, a little bit of background about who MathWorks is, the makers of MATLAB Grader, and why we're talking to you and how we're involved in education for engineering and science. Going to talk a little bit about what the product is, what it does, how it's used for auto grading, who benefits from that, both students and instructors and teaching assistants. What can you use MATLAB Grader for in your classroom, to give you some real concrete examples of how it's used. We'll actually go right into the product itself. I'm going to show you the product both on our website and integrated into a learning management system, in this case Canvas. And then we're also going to talk about some user stories and some case studies about how other institutions have done auto grading in their classroom, and wrap up at the end with a little bit of how to get started using our product. It is entirely free if you want to use it in your classroom today. There are some optional paid features, and we'll talk about that as well. So MathWorks, we are located in Natick, Massachusetts, United States, but we're a global company. Most of our employees are here in the U.S., but we've got about 30% outside the U.S. We make two flagship products, MATLAB and Simulink. If you're involved in engineering or teaching engineering education, you probably have heard about our products. But specifically, just to go into that a little bit more detail, we make MATLAB, which is a language for technical computing. It is used by scientists and engineers for computational modeling, mathematics, equations, and visualization analysis of data. We also create Simulink, which is used for model-based design and used by multiple industries for simulations, control signaling, processing, and physical systems modeling. Today, though, we're going to be specifically talking about the use of MATLAB as a programming language for technical computing and how scientists and engineers are taught MATLAB in undergraduate curriculum. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how our software is used in academia. We are used all the way through primary and secondary education through higher education. We're in use by over 5,000 schools worldwide. About 6.5 million students are using our tools in some form of teaching and learning today. We're also embedded in over 2,000 books in 27 different languages, and in some cases, MATLAB code and examples and programming practice homework is included in those textbooks. In some cases, there are textbooks about MATLAB that are used as the core curriculum for some introductory math, science, and engineering courses. And we also use MATLAB in MOOCs, massively online open courses worldwide as well. And I wanted to pause there and say that this is just to give you some context about how prevalent MathWorks and our products, MATLAB and Simulink, are used in academia. And in fact, a lot of you on the phone today may already be using MATLAB in your classroom, and you may have already created a lot of programming assignments and homework and quizzes and exams or project-based learning examples using MATLAB. And today you might do that in more of a traditional mode where you might actually give out traditional assignments to students. They then complete those assignments using desktop MATLAB. You then collect those projects and those files. The students are then waiting to get feedback on their assignments, and by the time you or your teaching assistants, if you're lucky, have time to grade those projects and get the solutions back to the students, those students are already working on the next assignment. And they're not able to take the learnings and the understanding of what they did right or what they did wrong from one project to inform their work on the next. And we want to introduce this concept of auto-grading, where you can actually save a lot of time grading MATLAB code and get the results and the feedback back to the students instantly. That allows for a nice iterative process where students can see the results of their automatically graded homework or their quizzes. They can actually then use that to improve their solutions and iterate on that and resubmit, or use that for the next assignment or the next homework problem. And that's really the kind of the model that we're trying to move to, from a more of a static and sort of process by which students don't get feedback to a really highly iterative and rich feedback process. Look at it another way. We want to transition from the PDFs or the handouts where you might have problem prompts or questions with equations and then boxes of code, or if you're more electronic, giving out actual M files or data files to students to process and parse. We want to move from those PDF and physical handouts to an interactive online web-enabled auto-grading system, and that's what MATLAB Grader is. And so MATLAB Grader is an auto-grading product that allows you to automatically grade MATLAB code, our programming language for technical computing, in any learning environment. And when we say any learning environment, we mean either at grader.mathworks.com, which is a web-based learning environment we use for auto-grading that we host at MathWorks that you can introduce students to as part of an add-on to your curriculum. Or we can actually embed MATLAB Grader in your learning management system, and so you can provide that as part of your curriculum and syllabus within your existing learning environment. It's a full-featured content authoring environment as well. It allows you as an instructor to create and share MATLAB-based programming assignments with your students. You can also collaborate with other instructors and your teaching assistants to actually create those problems. We also provide for custom scoring rubrics where you can grade student solutions, determine whether they passed your criteria or not, apply some weights and some points to automatically grade and assign numeric and letter grades to those student projects. We also provide a library of reusable examples, and we're getting ready to introduce some full-length courses of assignments on some common programming topics and academic topics. And you have those reusable examples you can use to start from, so you're not starting from scratch building up programming assignments if this is a new concept for you. And as I mentioned, we do have an optional feature which is LMS integration. That's a paid feature, so if you want to subscribe to a paid MATLAB Grader license, you can actually have that for your learning management system. But if you want to just run MATLAB graded assignments on our website, in our where we provide authentication, identity management, and course management, you can do that at no cost, so long as you yourself or your institution already has access to a MATLAB license, and you, as an instructor, have access to a MathWorks account. MATLAB Grader is provided as a free benefit for the standard MATLAB license in academia. So why would you want to do auto-grading in your class? So if you're an instructor and you're teaching an introductory or a gateway or a foundational level course, and you're teaching large numbers of students, grading code from students is a very laborious task. What we're hoping to provide you with here is the ability to actually use either some off-the-shelf content and examples to speed up content development for these courses, or to plug in sort of off-the-shelf content into existing courses you already are running. So if you're already running an Intro to Programming course and you want to show some some MATLAB specific examples on how you might do a programming technique in MATLAB, you can just drag those into your course syllabus and that's it. We also want your teaching assistants and your graders in your class to spend a lot less time manually hand grading student submissions and more time working with students. We want to eliminate the need to actually move MATLAB project files around between students and teaching assistants. We want to minimize configuration risk where teaching assistants don't have access to all the files the students were using, so you can't run student solutions and there's some lag there requesting files. We just want the teaching assistants and students to be on the same page about the correctness of the homework so that when the students show up for office hours, they can have a much more engaged conversation with your teaching assistants and spend more time learning. And students get immediate feedback. When they hit the submit button and they are measuring their solution against the reference solution provided by the instructor, they are told immediately what is working well, what isn't working well, and the instructor can also provide some rich feedback to the students saying, you know what, you might want to go back and read the source material on this concept because I noticed you didn't get it wrong. You didn't get it right in this way. People that get it wrong tend to get it wrong in these ways. And so that really helps students to do iterations on their work. You can also convert all your existing PDF or handouts of MATLAB assignments for auto-grading pretty easily. We have customer success engineers worldwide and other folks at MathWorks that can help you with that course onboarding and migration. You can also provide practice problems for students. So while the correctness is measured, they're not necessarily graded. You can just do it for exploratory practice work. You can also use MATLAB Grader for higher stakes things like in-class exercises and quizzes or even final exams. And we work really well with learning management systems to provide an interactive auto-graded exam experience. And we also provide you some great tools for figuring out which students are completing assignments, are they correct, what are the most common mistakes they're making. We provide all those analytics in the product as well. And MATLAB Grader has been around for a few years, so you're part of a community of thousands of instructors, hundreds of thousands of students. Actually, I think our number now is up over 8 million student submissions worldwide in terms of using our AutoGrader. So it's very proven. Other faculty and instructors have used it successfully in their classes. And so now we're going to start talking about how it works and actually get a chance to show you the product. But I wanted to briefly talk about how we actually bring MATLAB Grader into your learning management system. It's relatively simple. It uses an industry standard called LTI, Learning Tool Interoperability. If you've never heard of it before, I'm sure the IT staff member that manages your learning management system has heard about that. It's very widely adopted and used in industry. Almost every learning management system supports it. We've actually have worked with institutions in multiple countries worldwide, and as long as you're supporting the LTI standards, we can work with your learning management system. And it also supports data privacy and security because we don't collect any personally identifiable information on students when we integrate with your learning management system. We basically get some anonymous abstract IDs from your LMS when the student launches the problem, and when the student submits the completion of the problem, we just send back a score between 0 and 1 percentage, which tells you whether that problem was correct or not. And then your learning management system takes that data and applies a letter grade. It's really quite straightforward. So with that, I'm actually going to jump over into the product and give you a tour of what MATLAB Grader looks like. And so first, I'm actually going to show you what MATLAB Grader looks like in our own hosted environment. You can access this at grader.mathworks.com. When you log in, you've got quick access to help, training, and support. So at any time you want to access our documentation, take a product tour video, learn more about the features of the product, or actually contact technical support if you're having any problems or a challenge, you're one click away from doing that. We also have two ways of working with content in MATLAB Grader. One way is you can actually jump right into developing a course. You can create a start date, an end date, put in some metadata about the course, invite a list of students, and actually then start adding content to that course. And we have here a history of both the currently running courses and any course you previously have run in MATLAB Grader. We also have the ability to create what we call content collections on any number of topics. And you might want to do this because you might want to create a problem set of MATLAB Grader problems, collaborate with other instructors and teaching assistants on that content. and then have that off the shelf to run multiple courses using that same content. And you can drag that content into courses in your learning management system as well. And so I'm actually just going to jump in and create a collection here. And today I'm going to create a new collection called my IEEE demo, and you'll see why when we come back in this to see this in the future. I'm just going to give it an arbitrary group number. You could organize your collections by any sort of academic topic, term, types of functions you use, programming concepts, whatever it is you want to organize by. And so I'm going to go ahead and create this collection. And you can see here it puts me right into the interface here, gives me a nice little structure, sort of a syllabus-like sort of environment. And I'm going to go ahead and create my first problem. And when you create a MATLAB Grader problem, I want to be clear, you're not on your own. We do have more skilled users that can jump right into a blank page and start creating new content and defining what correctness means. We also have some examples that you can use that are authored by MathWorks to help you use the best features of MATLAB in your curriculum, to show you how other academic concepts have been taught before, do things like problem randomization, file handling, I/O, images, processing, those sorts of things. And so in this case, I'm actually going to go into our examples and choose one for you today, just to jump up and get started. And so I'm given a list of examples I can choose from. You can see here we have a lot of them in different topics, and they're rich text with images and equations. Here's one that's related to electrical engineering concepts. But I'm just going to choose a really simple demo here, which is called my first script problem. And this will show you what the basic content of a MATLAB Grader problem is. You can see here I've got my problem description, my title. The problem description can be done with a sort of a WYSIWYG editor. We can have text, images, code, LaTeX equations. You can also have any number of files added to your problem, so you can upload MATLAB files, M files, MLX files, live scripts, as well as data files or image assets that you want the students to process. And then there's the code space. And in this case, you can see here is a very simple solution. We just want the student to actually calculate the volume of a solid, and here you can see here the parameters that are used for this equation. I'm actually just going to copy this now so I can use it in my demo of what the student might see. So this is what we call the reference solution. This is considered potentially one of the many correct answers for how you might solve this. And this reference solution is going to become the foundation of how we measure correctness for the student. When the student logs in, they're going to be given sort of a starter bit of code, which we call the learner template. And you can see here I've actually locked down some lines of the solution where you see these little lock icons. That means when they load the problem the first time, they can't change these parameters, so they can't change the initial input variables. They're going to be given all of this prompt, and then they're going to be able to add their code to complete the solution. You'll also notice here down at the bottom that there's different types of assessment methods. I'm actually going to move the problem into draft mode to show you what I can do to edit this. We offer two different types of assessments. It can either be pass-fail, also known as correct or incorrect, meaning the student must complete all of the assessments to get a passing grade, or we can do weighted assessment, where each assessment is given a number of points available, and each individual assessment is then weighted against an overall score anywhere between 0 and 100%. You can see here that each assessment is given a common name, which will show up to the student and in your reports. And you can see here we have different types of assessments. We have a variable equivalence, which checks to see if the student's output variable is the same as what was in your reference solution. And you can also adjust that for certain tolerance. You can check to see if they use certain keywords or functions. So if you wanted to make sure they were doing Fourier transforms and using the built-in FFT function, you can do that. Or if you want them to write their own FFT function and not use the built-in one, you can do that as well. You can also check for function presence or absence or any combination. And then you can also write your own assessments using MATLAB code. So if you're knowledgeable in MATLAB and you do want to do something a little bit more sophisticated, maybe you want to parse out different attributes of a plot object or an image object to see if they processed it correctly, then you could actually write your own MATLAB code and look at multiple things in combination. So it's actually a very robust way of doing assessment. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go back and set this as final so that I can actually have students reviewing and editing this code. And then I'm also going to show you down here what the student might see when they were to load it to actually take the assignment. You can see here that there's the same title, there's the description, And you can see there's that starting script that the student might have. And so just to give you an example of how this works, I'm going to run it for both a negative scenario and a positive scenario. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in a bit of that code that I had from the reference solution just to give me a starting point. And I'm going to make one change here. I'm actually going to cut out the pi declaration. And so this should be incorrect. I'm actually going to submit that for automated assessment right now. And you'll notice that it will tell me that that was actually incorrect. And you'll notice that the test here has got some nice rich feedback for the student. So this was actually authored by the instructor to say, hey, we noticed that you didn't have the correct result. How might you go about changing your result to get it right? And so now I'm actually going to put back in the pi declaration, and I'm going to submit my assessment. Oh, in this case, it's actually not coming up correct. So what we'll do, I'll show you another example of it coming back correct when we go into the learning management system. And so this is kind of how the instructor would be able to create problems and the student would be able to author submissions and responses back to them. But now say you might want to actually bring MATLAB Grader into your learning management system, which is where all your other teaching and learning and content is being used. And so if your school opts for a paid MATLAB Grader license, you as an instructor or your IT staff can log in and do the integration. And so we actually have a nice space here in the product called LMS integration, where you can actually choose what platform you're on. In this case, I'll say Canvas, which is a commonly used learning management system. You can see here we got some coaching and some instruction on how to integrate this into your LMS, who the primary contact is at your institution in case you get stuck or need some additional assistance. And then you really only need 3 pieces of information to do integration into your LMS. You need a key and a secret and a URL that launches. And we go so far as to give you custom documentation for all of the common learning management systems that are in the market. And so we actually have a detailed doc page that you can use to actually learn how to do this integration and share this with your IT staff if you're interested as a faculty member. We find that most institutions can actually get this up and running within about 20 minutes or less if the LMS administrator is very experienced with installing tools in your learning environment. And I want to show you what this looks like in practice. So I'm actually going to now move over to an instance of a course I have running in my LMS. In this case, we're using Canvas for today's demo. And you'll see here that I've got my Intro to Programming course set up. I've got a full syllabus here talking about Intro to Programming concepts using MATLAB. This is a live published course that students could log into and see the syllabus and do the assignments. And so what I'm going to do here as a sort of an instructor / administrator is I want to show you how easy it is to actually get up and running to add MATLAB Grader to your course. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in to the admin side of things. And so if you're not an IT person, this might seem overwhelming, but bear with me for just a moment. Inside of your learning management system, most learning management systems have the ability to add external applications. And so what we've done at MathWorks is we've actually partnered with LMS vendors and tried to get MATLAB Grader listed in what they call their app stores. And so what you can do is if you're looking for an app to install, in this case I'm going to look for MATLAB, you can see that MATLAB Grader shows up in the list of available applications. You can learn more about MATLAB Grader right inside the product. And when you're ready to install it, you just click the Add App button and notice it's prompting for those same pieces of information I showed you in the previous step, that key and that secret. In this case, I already have it configured in my learning management system, so I'm going to skip installing it again. But it really is that easy for Canvas. And other learning management systems, it's almost as easy. And so now that it's configured, I can actually go to my course. And so I'm going to go to my list of courses I'm running. And in this case, Intro to Programming. And I'm also assigned as an instructor for this course. And I'm going to add some MATLAB Grader content to my assignments. And so there's an assignments area in my course, and these are things that I'm assigned to students. They have a certain point value. They're grouped by either week or by a concept. In this case, I just have some general examples I'm going to add in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new item underneath my homework examples. And this is going to be of type external tool. and I'm going to go to my more options here. And when I'm adding in a new assignment, I can give it a name. So today, I'm just going to call it my IEEE demo. I'm going to keep going down here, and I can assign it to be worth a certain number of points. This is going to be a big one. We're going to make this one worth 50 points. And it's going to be of a specific type external tool. Because I've already configured it in my learning management system, I just go to my find for my list, and there's MATLAB Grader. So I'm going to say this is of new type MATLAB Grader, and I hit select. I'm going to make it available to everyone, and I'm going to go ahead and save and publish that item. And now, when I come into my assignment list, again, I'm still logged in as an instructor, it will immediately bring me to that similar screen you saw earlier, where I'm going to go ahead and create a problem here in my course. It allows me to do a couple of things. First, I could do what I did earlier by either starting with a blank problem or using one of the examples, but you'll also notice that every other course I've ever run, or every content collection I've ever created, or that other people have invited me to collaborate on as an instructor is available here. And so I can actually come in and see IEEE demo, so maybe I was working on this content for this course before, and I can actually see the problem I created last time. I'm going to go ahead and copy that into my learning management system, and there it is. And now you can see that the problem is all ready to go, and it's sitting in my learning management system. I can also choose a different problem. I'm going to go back and choose something maybe a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to pull in that Kirchhoff loop examples because I think it's relatively sophisticated, just to show you some additional content here. And so you can see here it's rich. It's got images. It's got some great descriptions of what's going on here. I'm going to go ahead and copy the reference solution. So I tried it again as a student. You can see it's got some weighted assessments here. So each different assessment has different point values associated with it, adding up to 100%. So when the student takes this, they could get some part of it right and some part of it wrong and still get some partial credit. And this is now currently set to final. It's waiting for students to actually complete in the learning management system. And so to demo that for you, I'm going to use a feature in the learning management system to preview this whole course as a student. So I'm going to click this button and go into student mode. And while I'm in student mode, I get this nice little purple banner letting me know I'm in that mode. I'm going to come into my assignments here and go to the IEEE demo. And now that problem will load in my learning management system. And you can see here it looks pretty nice with all the images and the text. I'm actually going to go ahead and just put the correct solution in and show you what that might look like when auto-graded. And so I'm going to run this, this solution in my learning management system. When the student clicks the submit button, regardless of what the outcome is, whether it's anywhere between 0 and 100%, that number between 0 and 100 is passed back to your gradebook in the learning management system. And so you can see here I got 100%. And what this means is every one of the assessments that I was working on has been marked as correct. And so now that value of 100% was passed into the gradebook. And so I'm still logged in as a student. I'm going to go look at my grades. And you can see here, built into the learning management system, is that IEEE demo assignment. I got a 50 out of a possible points of 50. And notice that it's doing all the calculations for my grades for this course automatically. And so when you don't have to worry about going back to the gradebook and adding columns in for data, it will do the math automatically. Different learning management systems support this differently, so if you want to spend some more time doing some advanced rubrics and calculations and combining pass-fail with point values, that's really up to you and how you configure your learning management system. But you can go in and then see all of these details. So I'm going to leave the student view and go back as an instructor. And now you can see here as an instructor what the grades look like for the course. And you can see my test student. And as I look over here, they got that 50 out of 50 as well. So both the students and the instructors are on the same page about what the outcomes were. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to jump back over to our presentation. We'll be providing slides follow up to the webinar so you can actually see a little bit more detail about some of the features here. But just want to kind of show you that these are some of the general things that you can do in our product. Everything from creating content, sharing it with other instructors, inviting students to the course, adding it to your course syllabus, viewing the submissions in the learning management system, as well as getting automated rich text and feedback on your responses for the students. MATLAB Grader is used worldwide by thousands of instructors. Here's just one example, and this user story is on our website as well. Virginia Tech is using MATLAB Grader in an aerospace engineering curriculum over multiple years of progression in different courses on a degree program pathway, and both students and professors are really enjoying that. And the quote from the student here is they live for green check marks. That is what they see when they get their tests and assessments right. They like seeing that light up that they got the right answer, and it's really validating and worthwhile for the students to get that recognition that they're getting the concepts and they're understanding the content in a much more meaningful, impactful way. We also have other instructors that are using this worldwide. One, Peter Cork at QUT in Australia, he's a robotics professor, so he uses this for more advanced engineering concepts, and he also uses Blackboard as his learning management system. He will tell anybody who will listen that he wants to use this in all of his courses that use MATLAB. But also, just to validate how much time this saves instructors and faculty and teaching assistants, is that we have some professors that are using it just because of the time savings alone. That the lab time where the students are in the class working with TAs was reduced by more than 50%. Because the students knew what to expect. They had the format of the problems. There were no more file submission. There was no more booting up MATLAB desktop to process all these projects. It really saved them some time in the grading experience. And with that, just wanted to wrap up today. Again, thank you for your attention. But if you wanted to learn more about MATLAB Grader, you can go on the mathworks.com website and look for MATLAB Grader under our list of products. You can also go to grader.mathworks.com, and most of you on the phone today may already have access to a MATLAB license, either individually or at your institution through our campus-wide offering. If you do, you can get started today for free. You can log in, start using the product and giving it a tour and taking advantage of our great training and support documentation for getting up and running. And with that, we'll move to question and answers, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what some of you think about the product and how you might be using it in your classrooms.
So one of the questions we've received is, tell us about your experience providing workshops and what we've heard directly from faculty and instructors about autograding. So you may be aware that we have presented and have done workshops at conferences like ASEE and for IEEE. And one of the things we typically hear from participants in our workshops where we're training people on autograding and the use of MATLAB Grader in their classrooms or in their learning management system, they get a lot of questions about how long is this going to take? How long is it going to take to convert content from their typical PDF or project files or MATLAB files or their textbooks and convert that over into auto-graded assignments in MATLAB Grader. That is, something that's based on how sophisticated and what the skill set is for the people that are doing the conversion. And we know it's sort of variable. What we do try to do and help out with that is we have a team of customer success engineers at MathWorks who are assigned to our accounts worldwide. And one of their responsibilities is to help with curriculum adoption of MATLAB, including the use of MATLAB Grader. And so we have those folks available as a resource to help instructors and faculty and teaching assistants convert existing materials over to MATLAB Grader auto-graded assignments. And so we're trying to make sure that you're not left alone in that conversion process so that you don't feel overwhelmed with the content. But our goal is that once you've converted the content you're using in your courses that you might run multiple sections in a year, that you're in a maintenance mode and you can really start to really improve the content, build additional content over time. But that initial burden, we want to be there to help you with.